Hello, good morning. I hope that everybody is well and that you've had a good week. Today it's a glorious day at Poldhu Cove. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, and the dogs are patiently waiting to go out for their walk. They've been in the garden all morning just enjoying the sunshine. It's bitterly cold, but that sunshine, it really lifts your spirits. Hugo is 6 months old on Monday tomorrow, and we're now starting to walk a little bit further every week. He loves walking, and it's doing me good. It's lifting my spirits. I could feel myself sinking into a little bit of a depression with lockdown. It just gets harder and harder, but this lovely weather and walking and my needle is saving my sanity in lockdown. On Wednesday, I had a text message from our doctors in our little village inviting me to have my vaccination the next day. So Thursday morning I went up to the surgery, and it was very, very efficient. The whole system of going in and back out having had your vaccine. I had the AstraZeneca. I didn't even feel the needle going into my arm, and I haven't had any side effects. So I hope that everybody will get their vaccinations soon. That was another positive thing that sort of really lifted my spirits. And I know that we can't travel just yet, but myself and some friends, we've been planning our trip to the States as soon as we can fly and it is safe to do so. Like, obviously we have to have our second vaccinations, which is 12 weeks ahead, and the borders have to open with the US, but we're planning our trip, and it's going to be a needlework related trip as well. Okay, so what's happened for hats during this week? Well, we released When Flowers Bloom, So Does Hope, and this little sampler is all about hope, and you know, as surely as flowers bloom in our garden, so does hope. I have been so touched by the response to this little sampler. I'm glad that actually that we had upgraded our servers for our website, because I think my website would have crashed in the first 24 hours, but it didn't. And here she is. Got a lot of joy from designing this sampler and from stitching her, and I can't wait to see your version of Where Flowers Bloom. Now, the sampler has my name on it, but obviously you want to put your name on it, so with the little PDF download for this sampler, there is some blank graph paper, and there is a font of an alphabet and for numbers, so that you can work out your own name and put the date in. Now, I realise that some people have a longer name than mine, so I thought if you didn't have enough space for your name here, you could put your dates either side of the house here, and I did leave that sort of the design slightly open there so that you could get your date in. Right, okay, so let's have a little chat. There is no backstory because it's not a reproduction. So let's just have a little chat about the technical side of the sampler. It's entirely cross stitch over 2, so you can work it on linen Aida or Lineda. The stitch count is 139 stitches by 167 stitches. If you stitched her on 14 count Aida, that's 28 count linen, she will be 9.93 inches by 11.93 inches. If you stitched her on 18 count Aida, which is 36 count linen, she will be 6.95 by 8.35. When Flowers Bloom sits very, very nicely with Marion Horsburgh, and the other sampler, I haven't got the model here, it's with Jean Lee at the Attic, is Mary Clayton and Sally Stansfield, and both of these samplers will hang very nicely with those two samplers as well. Now, Mary Clayton and Sally Stansfield, they are not PDFs, they are printed booklets, and they are available on our website, but these two are PDFs. I used 16 colours from Vera Soie 103 range, but there is a conversion for Soie d'Alger and DMC in the download. If you pop onto our website and you purchase the download, you will immediately receive an email with a link to download 4 different versions of the PDF. You have a colour 6-page version, a black and white 6-page version, and then you have a 1-page black and white and a 1-page colour. Now, the number of pages refers to the graph. The download is several more pages than that because you have some background information, the thread legend, etc. that comes with it. Each version also has that blank piece of graph paper and the font for you to personalise the sampler with your name and the date. Enjoy, and I really look forward to seeing your version. Now, something came up about the thread legend on When Flowers Bloom, and it was about the Vera Soie 103 colour 060, and it appears that nobody could find it listed on stores' online inventory, and stores didn't think that this number existed, but it does exist. Here we go. 060, and it appears that this was not listed on the order form for Access Commodities, but Access Commodities have corrected that now. So if you go to purchase your silks and your store tells you that 060 is not a valid number, just tell them to have a look at the newly updated order form on Access Commodities website, because this is a genuine number and they have it in stock ready to ship to their stores. Okay, so that's everything about When Flowers Bloom. What else have I got here? I've had several emails asking why aren't I stitching this model? Well, sorry about that. Somebody came and knocked on the window. I couldn't hear them knocking on the door. Right, okay, so I've had a couple of emails from stitchers asking when were they going to see Hannah and Ellen Wilkinson's little sampler available for them to download. Well, my intention was to start to stitch this as soon as I had finished the model I was stitching when this arrived. When I went to start to stitch it, I realised that I did not have the colour I wanted in both Vera Soie's 103 range and Safine range. Now I'm going to stitch this on 56 count linen because it's going to sit in my own collection on my sampler wall. I'm going to use marble pointer from Dukas of X Jude Designs, and the colour red that I wanted to use for this sampler is 523, and because this is on 56 count and there is a lot of over 1 in this sampler, I want to use the 103 for the over 2, but I want to use Saphine for the over 1 because Saphine is finer again than the 103. And it really does sit so nicely on 56 count. Now, I have not released Anne Morley yet, but this is on 56 count, and I used 103 for the body of the sampler, but for the over 1 writing I used Saphine, and you can see how nicely it sits on 56 count on over 1. So anyway, I had 523 in the 103, but I didn't have it in the Saphine, but the Saphine has now come. So when I get through my models, I've got 2 current models at the moment, I will start stitching Hannah and Ellen. She is 3/4 charted, and by the time I start I would have finished completely charting her. That's such a sweet sampler. This is the one where one sister stitched what we believe up until the M, and then she passed away, and the other sister finished her sampler for her. Touches me so much, this sampler. Talking about stitching a sampler and passing away, there was a post this week on social media that has touched me so much. It really, really has, and I know that it's touched an awful lot of people who saw the post. I've been talking to the lady who made the post because I just felt I had to reach out to her, and she was telling me about her mother. Jan Ellen Danielson was a lady who stitched all her life, and her needle was very, very important to her. And Jan passed away in January of this year, and her family were devastated. She was a very well-loved lady. She was married for 55 years, and it must be so hard for her husband. When you've been married that length of time, you're not 2, you are 1. And when one goes, you've lost half yourself. When Jan passed away, she was stitching Jane Fiddis, and she was participating in the Jane Fiddis Stitch Along. And I'm going to refer to what her daughter wrote, because this is such an emotional thing. I can't remember it word for word, and I want to get this right. Her daughter said that her mum was working on Jane when she passed away, and she said that she was so proud of her Jane doing her homework as soon as it came out. She said that her mum was her best friend and her stitching buddy. Isn't that wonderful to have your daughter or your mother as your stitching buddy? Chrissy said that it was so hard to remove her mum's linen from her frame, but they decided to frame Jane Fiddis exactly as Jan stitched her. And they said that when the piece was framed, it came to life, and it was worth you know, the pain of removing it from the frame, and it's now a piece of comfort, and it's displayed in her father's den by her mum's stitchy chair. It's just so touching, it really, really is. Those words that they chose, this is where she laid her needle down. What do you say? It's just so tender, so full of love. And Chrissy, Jan was very blessed with a daughter and a husband who understood what her needlework meant to her, and the way that you have commemorated your mum in that way. It's beautiful, so very, very beautiful. Now, this little family, they must have felt great loss when they lost Hannah. Hannah died in the 11th year of her age, May the 12th, 1835, and they recorded that Hannah had stitched the first and the second and part of the third alphabet, and then it was 6 years later that her sister picked this piece up and finished it off. I can't wait to stitch this. This is very, very touching, just as Jan's Jane is very, very touching as well. Okay, let me get refocused now, because this is all very, very, it gets you there. I don't think I will be so lucky when I die. I'm sure a lot of my needlework is going to end up being disposed of willy-nilly. Okay, my stitching this week, I completed my March assignment of Anne Morrison. So hard to put this down when I reached the end of the month's assignment. I did post on social media about Anne's number 2, but I'm conscious that not everybody who watches my floss tube and stitches hat samplers are on social media, so I'm going to talk about it again here. Anne stitched her 2s in an odd way. This is the one that is stitched accurately as Anne stitched it. This base is very short. When I came to the 2 in 12, I put the extra stitch on, and when I came to this 2, I believe that Anne had made a mistake. Rather than stitching it with 4 stitches as she'd done twice before, she stitched it with only 3, and I didn't like the way that 4 looked, and 3 just looked really, really odd to me. So I stitched it as I wanted to. And because this isn't a model, I can stitch Anne as I want, and I can make her my own. I'm going to go back now and put the extra stitch on this 2 so that my row looks balanced. And when I posted about this on social media, I asked people what they intended to do, and it's really interesting to see how some people like to stitch it exactly as Anne stitched it, and that's how we reproduce our samplers. But it was also very interesting to see how other people would get bugged by that mistake and would want theirs to be right, and they had corrected it. Now, because I'm stitching Anne for myself and it's not a model, I'm thinking about personalising Anne as I go along, and I may well put my family initials and my name on this sampler. I haven't decided yet, but it's all things that I'm thinking about as I'm working on Anne. I've kept her on the frame for this video, but now I'm going to take my sidebars off, roll the fabric up and pop her away safely until April, when I can continue. It is a really, really hard sampler to put down. It just flows. Now, if you would like to see the original Anne, I've been keeping her for the stitch along, and she was get my teeth in. She was revealed this week in a video that Traditional Stitches filmed and invited me to take part in. So if you would like to see the original sampler, please go along to YouTube, search on Traditional Stitches, and it's the latest video that has been released, and I hope that you enjoy her. Now, the other stitching I've been doing this week is this little sampler, which I showed in my floss tube video last weekend, and as you can see, it's progressed. I've finished the border, and I have been working down. I've got one little motif to put in here, and I actually started this little bit down the bottom, and I've run into an issue with colour, and I need a silk that I haven't got, so this is sort of stopped at the moment, but I will be picking her back up as soon as I can when I have all my colours that I need to finish her. Now, when I showed this one, I said that I had another sampler on the same piece of linen that was rolled up, and I would show that at a later date. Well, here she is. It's this little sampler here, and I chose this because my great aunt lived in a farmhouse, and she had lots of needlework in her farmhouse, and she was she was born before the turn of the 20th century. She was a really old lady when I was a little girl, and I think that she and probably her mother had been great needleworkers and had churned out a lot of stuff. And she had all these sort of like little motto samplers, Home Sweet Home and God Bless This House, and verses from the Bible, and when I saw this sampler, it reminded me of my great aunt, and I decided I wanted to stitch this little sampler for my kitchen to hang in my kitchen. And here she is, and this is a true reproduction, but I don't like this yellow and I don't like this blue. So I've been mulling over what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take this yellow out and this blue, and I'm going to reuse some of the colours that are in the bottom lines. I think that would be so much nicer on the eye. Those colours do not sit nicely with that, and this is something I've stitched for myself, so again I'm free to make alterations for the sampler that's going to hang in my kitchen. In case you would like to know what it is, it says, "Through thee we now come," sorry, let me start again. "Through thee we now together came, in singleness of heart. We met, O Jesus, in thy name, and in thy name we part. We part in body, not mind. Our minds continue one, and each to each in Jesus joined, we hand in hand go on. Remember me." I might be reading this wrong, but to me it's a couple coming together, getting married in the eyes of the church, and one of them maybe dying and the other one going on. And I just thought that was a very, very touching verse, and that's how I interpreted it. And I'm looking forward to that been on my wall, but with those colours removed. If ever you're stitching and you're not sure of something, don't make an instant decision. Put it down, think about it, and you know, the right decision will come to you if you don't rush that decision. Now my other stitching, and I've got to tell you, I am really enjoying this little one. This is the progress I've made. I started this 2 nights ago. I can't believe how quickly this is stitching up. And why it looks a little bit odd is I was playing with colours, so I've got to go back and fill this row in, but I was trying to get various colours in before I finalised it. Sometimes the blues, you know, those sort of like bluey grey, greeny blues, they're quite hard to get the right one, and you have to see other colours on your fabric, but I've decided that this is the right one that works and is balanced and is a true representation of the original sampler. This linen is really lovely, and this is in a slightly odd position because I wanted to get the mottling in the right position to represent the original sampler. The linen is by Foxglove and Lace Linen, which is a UK based company, and it's Hazel, and Hazel will I believe ship around the world. So if you're not in the UK, please still go and have a look at Hazel's linens. They're gorgeous. Hazel is on Instagram, as I said, under Foxglove and Lace Linen, and if you page back through some posts, you'll see lots and lots of photographs of the colours that she does, and she has a really lovely range. This is aged paper, and this is 56 count linen, but she dyes, you know, in all different counts, and she's just starting to dye in 56 count linen, and I asked if she would send me some colours that she felt were suitable for reproduction samplers. And the other lovely mottled colour that she sent, the sun's coming in today, is Vellum. And that's very nice. It looks similar to the aged paper, but it's not. It has all different sort of tones to it. When you see vintage linen and it's mottled like this, it looks very different when you stitch on it. And if you haven't used vintage linen, you might think, gosh, you know, I don't know if that's going to look nice, but when you stitch on it, it really adds a lot of character and age to your linen. It's, you know, it's, if you want your reproductions to look aged, this is a fabulous way of doing that. Okay, let's have a look at the other colours. This one is Driftwood, and that is a good colour for reproduction samplers. This is an interesting one, and it's called Blush. And this was one I thought that Anne Thomas would look really nice on. The photograph that we show Anne Thomas, you know, Walter the Pigeon, on our website, has these sort of like blush, apricot blush colours coming through, but it wasn't vintaged as much as this. But I think Anne Thomas would look really lovely on this linen, and it is accessible to UK stitchers. What else came? This one is Pebble, and this reminded me very much of Platinum, which is not always easy to come by that colour. This is really lovely, very sort of calm colour, Very, very pretty. And this is a colour that I'm going to be using. And then there was Simply Taupe. A lovely cream, which is called Clotted Cream. I put a white shirt on today to try and show these colours off, but the sunlight coming in is just very, very bright. Golden Rod, that's really tempting to stitch on. I've got another design percolated in my brain, and I'm thinking of using this colour or this colour to stitch it on. They look similar, but this one is just toned down a bit, and it's called Muted Gold. Two great colours. And those are the ones that came through from Foxglove and Lace Linen. And somebody posted a finish in the week on their linen, and the colour was Dormouse, and I thought, gosh, that's a beautiful colour. So that's a colour I'm going to order in 56 count as well. I had some more linens come through from Dukas, and some friends of mine grouped together and gave me a voucher, a gift voucher for Dukas, because they know I like her linen. And these lovely goodies came in the week. A beautiful piece of marble pointer. It is a huge piece, huge, all this beautiful linen, and I tell you what, this will all get used up. So there we are. I shall fold that in a minute. Let me just put that safe. These are on marble pointer as well. This one is a new colour to me, and it's called Grey Sand. Get down here. That's very, very interesting. I've not stitched on anything that's been aged in this way, so it's going to be very, very interesting. Had to find the right piece to reproduce on this linen, and I've got some ideas, but I need to go and have a rummage in my storage for samplers that will be suitable to reproduce on that. The other one is Autumn Gold. Very pretty colour. Very, very pretty colour. This would be nice to use for a Bristol sampler, and this colour I'm sure I stitched Harriet Salt on, but I must go back and have a look at that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Red, and probably not that shade of red. Oh yeah, that does work, but some of the stronger reds will look really fabulous on this colour. In fact, I was going to use marble pointer, but that's a possibility, isn't it? Maybe I'll have a think about the linen, a rethink about the linen I'm going to use for Hannah and Ellen. And then the other piece that I had was aged paper. Very interesting colour. And the vintage mottled effect on that's very, very interesting. A very dark colour can really add something to a sampler, and I think I'm going to keep this one for an original design, probably. So the other thing I had come in the week, and it's so naughty, was a tin of chocolates from America. And as you can hear, there are no chocolates left. These were absolutely delicious. They were from See's, celebrating 100 years. So it's 1921 to 2021. And these were absolutely scrumptious chocolates. But this is also a really, really beautiful tin to use for keeping my silks in as I'm stitching as well. One more thing I wanted to mention in this video was about needles. Somebody posted on social media that they were using sharps and having problems. What you need to do is use tapestry point, ballpoint needles when you're cross stitching. If you're using 103 or Safine, and number 28, the eye is too big for your silk and the silk will slip through, and that can be quite frustrating while you're stitching. But if you use a number 10 eye for 103 and a number 12 eye for Safine, you will have the right eye size for that particular silk. Now, if these small needles are too small for your hands and you don't want to use them, and you do want to use the number 28, a little trick is to thread your needle twice, thread your silk through normally and then thread it through again, and that will just give a little bit of a anchor to your thread to stop it slipping through. But really it's best to use the right eye. But whatever you do, make sure it has a tapestry point, it's a blunt end. Okay, that's really, really important. You don't want to end up with a hole in your needle, so in your linen. And the reason I can tell you don't want to end up with a hole in your needle is that it has happened to me. We all learn by little accidents that happen whilst we're stitching. Okay, I think that's probably about everything this week. Thank you again for listening to me ramble on about needlework. I'm always amazed that people watch the floss tubes, and I'm always very touched when I hear from people. So many people tell me that they do enjoy them. I hope they're not getting boring for you. I look forward to my time with you every week. It brings me closer to you, which is really nice, and I do really enjoy hearing back from you about the videos. I've had several requests to do an updated video about the Millennium frame, and that's something that I do intend to do in the near future. But you know, if there's something that you would like me to talk about, let me know, and if I can, I will. Really that's everything for this week. I'm going to go out now and give those dogs a good walk. We have decided that today is a day for walking the coast path, get our lungs full of that lovely sea air. So we're going to walk from Lizard Point to Cadgwith Village today, and no doubt we will have a little pause along the way on a bench and sit and enjoy that view. It's so nice to be out and about, and you know, you can feel that spring is coming. You can see that spring is coming when you look at nature, and that takes me back to this little sampler. And never give up hope, because where flowers bloom, so does hope. Bye-bye.